Without light, our world would look like a dead, dark place. Hello, grade 5 students. This is Miss Fatin, and welcome to the second science lecture video for semester 2. In this lecture, I'll be talking about light. I hope that you're all doing good, staying safe at home, and that you all did good in your science quiz talking about food webs and food chains. Food webs and food chains show us how energy is transferred and moved between organisms in nature. They always start with producers, which are the organisms that do not take their energy from any other organism. They make it by themselves. Primary consumers are the first consumers in the food webs and the food chains. They feed on the producers and they are usually herbivorous organisms. On the top of the food webs and the food chains, you will see the apex predators, which are the organisms not eaten or consumed by any other organism. Why do food chains and food webs start with producers? It's because the producers are autotrophic organisms that do not take their energy from any other organism in nature. They make it by themselves using carbon dioxide from the air, water from the soil, and sunlight energy from one of the most important light sources on Earth. What do we mean by light sources? Let's see. Light comes from different sources called light sources. Our main natural light source is the sun. Other sources include stars. But are all sources of light natural? No, since we have electric sources of light such as your lamps and flames. Burning substances produce flames. Any flame emits light is considered as an artificial source of light. So, the electric lamps and the flames are artificial sources of light, while the stars and the sun are natural sources of light. What's light? Light is a kind of energy made of electromagnetic waves that travels through space in straight lines. The sun, the stars, the lamps, and the flames send rays of light. What's light again? Light is a kind of energy that travels through space in straight lines that we call rays. To prove that light travels in straight lines through space, we did this simple activity, an activity that can be done by yourselves at home. The source of light in this case is the flame. First, the boy tried to look at the flame through a straight cylinder. So the flame sends its light through the straight cylinder and the boy is able now to see the light. Then he tried to look in this type of cylinder. Here the light is blocked, so the boy cannot see the light. This proves that light travels in straight lines. Light cannot pass through opaque substances. What we need to do right here is to drag the screen so that the light, which passes in straight lines, can pass through the holes. This way. Light travels in straight lines. Try to tell now, which boy can see the light of the flame? Is it the one looking in the straight cylinder in the first case, or in the second case? The flame sends its light through the straight cylinder to the boy's eyes, so the light reaches the boy's eyes. In the second case, the cylinder isn't straight and the light cannot travel through it, so this boy can see the light of the flame. The orange object in here is the light source. It's the object that sends light in the room. The light travels through space in straight lines. But look, this light is blocked by an object. and the space in here isn't receiving light. It's a black space. So again, the light source sends light in the room. The light is blocked by an opaque object. It's called an opaque object since it's blocking light. And right here in this space, there is no light. So this is how shadows are formed. Shadows happen when an opaque object blocks light from a light source. It doesn't let light pass through it. Another example, look at this man. Here is the lamp, the electric lamp that sends light in the room. It's blocked by the body of the man. The body of the man doesn't let light pass through it, and then the shadow of the man is seen behind it on the wall. The light from the sun, the stars, the electric lamps, and the flames can be blocked and shadows can be formed. But the light that comes from the sun is actually one part of the energy that the sun makes and that our eyes can detect. This light is called visible light. Visible light is the white light that the sun provides the earth with, and it's the light that we can see. Most people can see the colors in the visible light spectrum, which range from red to violet, including orange, yellow, green, blue, and indigo. But there is also light that we cannot see, including infrared light and ultraviolet light. Look at this. A beam of white light sent to a prism will be broken down into the 7 components of the visible light spectrum. The white light travels in a straight line to the prism. The prism breaks the white light into its 7 colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. This is how rainbows are formed. Rainbows are caused by the sun shining through droplets of water during or after rain. So here we have droplets of water acting like a prism. A beam of light, this light is sent by the sun to the droplet of water. That droplet of water breaks the white light into the component colors of the rainbow, and we have to memorize them in order: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. The light emitted by the sun is called white light, and white light is the mixture of the different lights of the spectrum.
The rainbow. Sunlight, which appears to us as being white, is actually a mixture of several colors, the number of which is often given as 7. A prism decomposes white light via refraction, with the path of each color being bent at a different angle, the angle of which increases as we go from red to violet. Just as in a prism, a raindrop refracts the white sunlight, but its spherical shape changes the paths of the refracted rays.
Let's recap. What do we know about light now? Light is a kind of energy made of electromagnetic waves that travel through space in straight lines called rays. The light emitted by the sun is called white light, and it is the visible part of the light that the sun provides us with. White light is made of colored lights forming its spectrum: violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. When the light coming from a source of light is blocked by an opaque object, shadows are formed. Depending on the type of matter it comes into contact with, light will behave differently. Sometimes some objects completely reflect or block light, like an animal or a book. These objects are called opaque objects since they do not let pass through them at all. Other objects let light pass directly through them, like air, water, glass. This type of matter is called transparent. since it let all the light pass through it. A third type of object does some of both and tends to scatter the light. So some of the light, a part of the light, will pass through these objects, and these objects are called translucent objects. So three types of matter. Opaque objects do not let light pass through them easily, so we cannot see what's behind them. Transparent objects let light pass completely through it, but the translucent objects let some of the light pass through them. An opaque object doesn't let light pass through it, so we cannot see what's behind the object. A transparent object lets all the light pass through it, so we can see a clear image of what's behind. A translucent object lets some of the light pass through it, so an unclear image appears behind the object. Three types of objects. Since light behaves differently depending on the type of matter it comes into contact with. Opaque objects, translucent objects, and transparent objects. Let's do this. This is a question in your book found on page 187. Figure A shows transparent plastic bags. Let's imagine that we're trying to see through them. Can you see a clear image of what's behind the plastic bags? Yes. So the plastic bags are transparent objects since they let us see the image clearly, what's behind them, and then they let light pass completely through them. What about B? Let's imagine we're trying to see through the object shown in figure B. We cannot see anything, so the light is blocked. It doesn't let light pass through it, so it's an opaque object. C. Someone is hiding behind the curtain. Can you see a clear image of what's behind this curtain? Or it will be an unclear image, or you cannot see it at all? We will see an unclear image of what's behind the curtain. So this is a translucent object. It lets some of the light pass through it. E shows a cup, a glass cup of water. Let's imagine we're trying to see through this cup of water. The image will look clear. So this is a transparent object. I'm talking about this. This is a transparent object. And if we're trying to see through this colored window, we will see an unclear image. So this is a translucent object. Opaque objects do not let us see what's behind. They block the view. The translucent objects let us see an unclear image of what's behind. So they let some of the light pass through them, while transparent objects let us see completely the view that's behind them, since they let light pass through them easily. We can only see objects when light reflected from the object falls on our eyes. So in another way, we see objects because light is reflected from them to our eyes. White objects reflect all of the colors, and the mixture of all of the colors make the white light. For this reason, we see white objects white. What about black objects? Black objects absorb all of the colors. So the black color results from the absence of light emerging from the object. There is no light emerging from black things, so we see the black color. Last thing, let's talk about red objects. The object appears red because all of the other colors are absorbed, and the red objects reflect the red color only. So we see things when they reflect light to us, and it's according to the color that they reflect, their color is decided. And that's it for today. We talked about light, which is made of electromagnetic waves that travel through space in straight lines called rays. Some sources of light are natural, such as the sun and the stars. Some others are artificial, like the electric lamps. The light emitted by the sun is called white light. Some of the light can be seen by people and it's called the visible spectrum, but there is also light that cannot be seen, like the ultraviolet light and the infrared light. We see objects because light reflects off them. So objects reflect light, and for this reason we see them. Let's imagine we're looking at the wall. The source of light in the room sends light to the wall. The wall is an opaque object. It reflects light to our eyes, and this way we can see the wall. According to the way light behaves with matter, matter is classified into 3 types. Opaque objects that block light from traveling through them, translucent objects that let some of the light travel through them, and transparent objects that let all the light pass through them. If you still have any questions about the lesson, please send me private messages and I will be happy to answer them. Bye bye.